Good evening and welcome. And I call the meeting to order. Our board meeting on May 7th. All Mr. Reverend Benson couldn't be here. Everybody else is here. Next up is the Pledge of Allegiance and the Piedmont High School GROTC.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next up is the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve?
No. Mike,
I'd like to add item 9, contract extensions, please, to the agenda with the appropriate adjustments of the other items.
okay, so that'll be 9, and then we move the other ones down. Okay? So can we have
Motion to approve the amended agenda?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 8-0, thank you. Next up is the John H. Crowder Service Award.
For over 3 decades, John H. Crowder dedicated his life to supporting the youth of Union County. In honor of his enduring contributions and lasting impact, the Union County Board of Education presents the John H. Crowder Service Award every month to recognize an exceptional high school student who actively contributes to their school and community. Recipients of this award excel academically and possess a well-established track record of community involvement. Tonight, I would ask if Caleb Bigham would come as we will celebrate him to receive the John H. Crowder Service Award tonight. Caleb Bigham has dedicated many hours to serving his school and community. His desire to give back is genuine, and he actively seeks to influence those around him for the greater good. Caleb has volunteered for several organizations in our area, such as Heart of Monroe, the Union County Christmas Bureau, the Lions Club, and Operation Christmas Child. However, Caleb believes his most significant contributions have come from his involvement in Piedmont student government. As student government president, Caleb helped organize the first Piedmont car show that raised money for Victory Junction, which provided an opportunity for kids with disabilities or illnesses to enjoy a week at camp. He participated in One Day, One Panther, where the school collaborated to organize a food and coat drive and also put together gift bags for first responders and local veterans in the community. For the past 2 years, Caleb has volunteered with Special Olympics and the Special Needs Prom as a member of Unified Champion Schools. He loved helping all those events and seeing the excitement and joy on the faces of the students as they cross the finish line at a race or get to dress up and dance at their prom. Caleb is a student athlete who participates in track, cross country, swim, and tennis. He has been a youth soccer coach at Hopewell Baptist Church for a year. He helps young athletes learn soccer skills and shares his lessons learned as an athlete. Caleb is an inspiring young man who prioritizes community engagement, helps those in need, and strives to positively impact others. Caleb plans to attend Virginia Tech and major in engineering. Board members, please join me in congratulating Caleb Bigham as the May 2024 recipient of the John H. Crowder Service Award.
Good evening. We are thrilled to shine a spotlight on two remarkable individuals who have earned the title of UCPS Influencers for May 2024. This program honors the enthusiasm, commitment, and outstanding work ethic of UCPS staff members who consistently put in extra effort each day. What makes this recognition special is that it is the result of nominations from our staff, students, families, and community members. These are the people who see firsthand the positive impact these employees have on students and their peers. I am honored to present Luling Yan, a dual language immersion teacher at Kensington Elementary, and Katie Pearson, an exceptional children's assistant at New Salem Elementary. I will now invite the nominators to the podium to read the submission and recognize their honorees' accomplishments. Abigail Prado, can you please come up?
Good evening. I'm Abigail Prado, the mother of a student at Kensington Elementary. Miss Yen, please come forward and join me. Miss Yen is an amazing teacher who truly exemplifies the dual language program. She not only teaches the Mandarin language, but she goes above and beyond to share her unique culture with her students. My daughter is always so excited to learn the legends and stories behind Chinese holidays and cultural events. Learning about these traditions and stories helps her to better engage with the language and encourages her to work hard because she is so excited to learn more about the Chinese people and culture. Miss Yan works so hard to create a fun and magical experience for her students. She stays long hours after school to decorate for Lunar New Year, surprises her students with custom-designed shirts to celebrate holidays, and is always available during any time of the day and even on weekends, by email or text to support parents who are helping their children complete their homework. I am so grateful for Miss Yen, and I'm so happy that she is influencing my daughter every day.
Good evening. I'm Caitlin Rogers, a parent of an exceptional children's student at New Salem Elementary. Ms. Pearson, will you please join me? Ms. Pearson has been a phenomenal aid to my child this year. She has created the most heartfelt bond with him, and as a parent, I could not ask for more. To see him thrive this year under her assistance has been a true joy to observe. She always has a warm smile each day. Ms. Pearson deserves to be recognized for her hard work and compassion.
I will now read the UCPS Influencers Proclamation from the Board of Education and Dr. Houlihan. Whereas the Union County Board of Education values the hard work of each employee within the district. Whereas performance is an essential part of district operations. Whereas Luling Yan and Katie Pearson exemplify the performance, dedication, and teamwork essential to the success of the district and its students. Now therefore, we, the Board of Education for Union County Public Schools, and Dr. Andrew G. Houlihan, Superintendent, hereby proclaim Luling Yan and Katie Pearson the UCPS Influencers for the month of May 2024. Congratulations on this outstanding honor, and thank you for all that you do to be a positive influence on others each and every day.
Next up is public comments. At every regular meeting of the board, up to 60 minutes have been allotted for public comments. The board will not respond to public comments. However, a member may ask that the chair obtain clarification. Residents, parents, students, and employees of the district will receive priority on the list of speakers. If the speaker is not present when his or her name is called, the opportunity to speak will be considered waived. Only persons signed up may speak. Speakers may not give their time to another person or have someone speak on their behalf. Speakers may address the board for a maximum of 3 minutes. The board will not hear in open session complaints about performance of school personnel issues, and confidential student issues. Should a speaker wish to seek information or share items that may not be shared during public comments, members of UCPS cabinet staff are available to address your concerns or provide information. Cabinet staff members are seated at the table to the left. Next one is Logan Hempel. No. Natalie Wilson. No? Okay. Aaron Studney.
Thank you. I want to start off by thanking the board, as well as Principal Kerstetter, Dr. Crawford, and especially Jessica Garner. I've spent a lot of time over the last week since the DLI program at Sandy Ridge was canceled, going through trying to understand the different policies, stopgaps that are causing issues, why the program had to be closed, and hopefully tonight I'm bringing to you guys some possibilities and things that you can consider as exceptions to policies for this unique situation. So one of the major things that both Rayview families and Sandy Ridge families are concerned about is overcrowding. I'm not going to get into that too much because there are a couple speakers that are going to talk more about that. However, overcrowding is one of the biggest issues. We don't want to put so much into taking our kids to another school only to end up with 30 plus first graders in the same room. The second thing, I am going to offer some numbers, throw some things out there. If you need documentation about what I'm speaking about, I'm happy to provide that. Basically, when we were going through the course of this year, we were told we needed 18 kindergartners in order for our program to continue. Currently, we only have 40 kindergartners total enrolled at our school, which makes it really hard to get to 18. But what we would like to ask of you guys is to give us 1 year. We would like 1 year to have a blended kindergarten, first grade classroom. We'll take the kids that were coming in, we'll take the kids that we have, we'll try to grow a little bit more with the summer numbers that come in, get us to 18 for a whole chunk, and give us another year. The parents are motivated. We want to promote, market, and educate about the program so that we can hit our 18 next year and keep the program going for future students, not just the small group that is moving over to Rayview potentially. The last thing, if we are forced to move to Rayview, I would like to ask for an exception to the transportation policy. I know that students are not allowed to transfer or receive transportation if you choose to transfer. However, we figured out most of the logistics. I've mapped out where all of our families live and where Rayview Elementary is. We figured out a way in the afternoon if we can have one bus take 17 students and siblings to one stop in the reserve 3 miles away. If we can have permission for that one exception, it will make it incredibly much easier for all these families trying to take 10 students to the DLI program at Rayview. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next up is Brooke Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm also here to speak on behalf of parents of the students in the DLI program at Sandy Ridge. Last year, we knew that our class was small. We had concerns about this, but we assured that our class would be safe and that it would not be jeopardized in future years. We committed to this program over the last year, and we have fallen in love with this DLI program. My child is thriving in class, and I'm amazed at the growth that I've seen in his Spanish language. We've never had a thought about leaving the program, and we never were even told that there was any inclination our program could be removed from our school this year. This places a huge and undue burden on our families. My family just moved to Waxhaw last year from Texas. It was our first year at Sandy Ridge. It was a huge adjustment for my second grader, and it's taken a whole year for her to get used to being at Sandy Ridge. And now we're thrown this curveball of, do I keep my kindergartner in this wonderful program and move him over to another school, being Rayview, or do I wonder about the emotional well-being of my second grader and split them at two different schools? That was an option. Do I have one here and I can't be in two places at one time when they have the same bell schedules? So our family, it's not fair that all of our families are being faced with this decision. If all of our families, including the siblings, do move over to Rayview Elementary, it would be us removing 17 students from Sandy Ridge, which also, it already has very low enrollment. Therefore, it would be affecting the funding and allotments at Sandy Ridge. It would be a disservice to the school and our whole area, because at this point, this decision is going to make Rayview being the only school in our Marvin cluster with the DLI program. We as parents feel that we could market campaign this program for another year if we were able to combine our classes into a kinder and first grade class for next year. Our class will have to be split anyway if we do decide to move all, right now, 10 of our kids over to Rayview, because they have 22 kids currently, making a class of 32 students. Which brings my last concern. Parents, we have always been told that 24 kids was the cap in a DLI classroom, but right now we're understanding that we're being told 30 kids would be kept, where I know that in a traditional first grade class, the ratio is 1 to 19. So I would love to understand why in a DLI class, it can be 30 kids to one student. 32 first graders in one class, it would not be conducive to any type of learning. We would like some sort of promise that if we do take our kids over to a new school, that we would be able to be separated into two separate classes and get an extra first grade teacher. Thank you.
Next up is Jen Sanders.
Good evening, board. I just wanted to start by saying that I'm glad that the county commissioners have agreed to put the school bonds on the ballot so the voters have a voice. I also wanted to acknowledge the hard work it took for the superintendent's office to put together next year's budget. We know the difficulties it is now that the ESSER funds are being removed, and yet you're still trying to figure out a way to compensate our teachers, and for that they're grateful. It's a great start. It is my understanding that this is all in-house, which brings into question what services are going to be removed in order to make this happen. I know at my child's school, we're losing 5 staff members. It feels a little bit like robbing Peter to pay Paul. We are hopeful that the county commissioners are going to come through and increase the teacher stipends, but as they've already made excuses about taxes and why they may not be able to fulfill that request. Speaking of the county commissioners, I hope that this board has had some serious conversations with a particular member about her despicable comment she made about educators in Union County while speaking at an anti-government extremist group forum. If you thought our teachers were mad before, you have no idea how angry they are now. The blatant disrespect is not only shocking, but also heartbreaking. In front of you is a chart that breaks down how the voucher program is dispersed. We are one vote in the legislative session away from losing, an additional $463 million on top of the $500 million alone this year to fund the voucher program. See, the voucher program was originally designed to help lower income disadvantaged families. have a better shot at equitable education. But that is not what the program has turned into. Why do we have to up the voucher budget? Well, because our elected officials in Raleigh have promised their friends that they would help them pay for private schools. I have also shared with you the schools that are on the voucher reimbursement list as well. And when you know, 16 of the 17 are Christian private schools, including the Bible Baptist Tabernacle Church, which encourages sexual assault and child endangerment. So once again, I ask you, what are you going to do to save public schools? What is your board members going to do to hold our state elected officials accountable for stealing money from public education? Your only obligation as a school board member for UCPS is to protect the PS public schools. Thank you.
Next up is Liz Stannard. Sorry, I skip you. I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who has worked to make the dual language immersion program at Rayview Elementary and in Union County a success. The DLI kindergarten program was added to Rayview this year and our students are thriving. Thank you. We have a full rising first grade class and a full kindergarten class for next year as well. There is strong demand and maximum enrollment for the DLI program at Rayview. Tonight, I speak to you on behalf of the 22 Rayview families of rising DLI first graders. Several of those families are here with me tonight. The remainder are tucking their rising first graders into bed. This morning, 14 families met with Dr. Crawford at Rayview to address one concern, overcrowding, in the DLI rising first grade class due to the proposed combination of Sandy Ridge's DLI program with Rayview's. We come to you with one simple request. Please prevent overcrowding in Rayview's first grade DLI program and commit to creating 2 DLI first grade classes, each with a full-time accredited teacher, if and when we reach 27 students or more enrolled in DLI at Rayview. I repeat, our simple request is that when Sandy Ridge's DLI students are combined with Rayview's, we request that 2 separate first grade classes are formed if there are at least 27 students, and each of those classes headed by a full-time accredited teacher. The student-teacher ratio for first grade is 19:1. Despite DLI students learning Spanish on top of regular curriculum, the student-teacher ratio that this county has permitted is 24:1. Even with the help of a co-teacher, it is unreasonable to expect a child to thrive in a classroom with 27 or more students, especially young first graders, especially students who are learning Spanish on top of regular curriculum. Our Rayview families welcome Sandy Ridge families, and as you'll hear, we expect to have a combined class of approximately 30 first graders. Splitting Rayview and Sandy Ridge's combined first grade class gives our students a fair chance to thrive. We understand the budget constraints and desire to combine these programs. And even if we have 2 separate DLI classes, we can still reduce your combined teacher headcount from 5 to 4 when at one school. Our request is simple. Let's keep a successful program successful. Please agree that if we have 27 or more first grade students enrolled in DLI at Rayview, you will create 2 separate DLI first grade classes, which is still in line with the expectations of the state. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Next up is Reagan Shaw.
Hi guys. Okay, bear with me. Didn't write a speech. I think this is Jen and I. We've done 20 meetings now, maybe. So it's exhausting. I think we're finally hitting the, mess around and find out stage with a lot of what's going on in the schools. It's really starting to bite. This lack of funding. We're starting to see where the cuts are being made. I think we're going to only get more people in here going, "What in the world is going on?" I think that part of that is the reason that people don't know what's going on is that you guys don't talk about what's happening at state level. And I've spoken about this many times before. We want you guys to publicly advocate, especially about the things that are going on at state level. The voucher program has just become completely absurd. I mean, this is making national news. This is going to places other states, even very, very conservative states, are not going to. Tennessee said no on vouchers. I mean, Tennessee, But yet we didn't just say yes to vouchers. This has gone crazy. I mean, the figures that we're talking about are just off the charts. So the resolution, which is kind of, I think, step one, a public resolution to explain where you stand on the issues, the biggest pieces of legislation that are going to affect UCPS the most, not just this year, but in many years. And so, a public resolution, I think, is step one. You have to at least put it out there where you stand on these issues. I've typed this up. I used Cabarrus's for the most part, just updated some of it. Cabarrus is not Wake. It's not a blue county. It's tractor country. I've been out there. They can advocate. They've put themselves publicly out there. I know it's difficult for you guys because you canvass for some of these guys, David Willis and Dean Arp and all that crew. But it's time to really speak up about what's going on. It is horrendous. It is destroying, it's defunding our public education system in North Carolina. The latest teacher vacancy results are that North Carolina is in the top 3 for teacher vacancies in the country. In Union, we're right next to South Carolina, so we're losing people like crazy. I would love if you guys would sign this just as a start. And I would want you to pay attention towards the end. It says the board encourages parents, students, and other community members to contact their North Carolina legislators to implore them to abide by their oath to uphold the North Carolina Constitution. That is to provide a fully funded education to all. If you have any questions, let me know. If there's numbers you want to change. If there's something about it that you disagree with, I want to know, but I'm going to be here every month. You know I will be. And I'm going to find out what it is that keeps you from publicly advocating about what's going on, because it's got to happen. You can't just say, oh, we're doing it behind the scenes. That doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. They've done nothing since they've been in office but destroy public education.
Next up is Amy Beth Beastall. Sorry.
Evening. It's nice to have names with faces. I have watched you guys virtually before. I've seen books and brackets. So it's nice. We do watch. We are out there. So thank you. As Liz alluded, we really would like to, if Sandy Ridge comes to our school, 30 in a classroom where even though my son loves his teachers, his class, his friends, he does struggle. I don't speak Spanish. I'm learning, but having 30 kids in a class, I'm afraid he'll fall behind. And if I push him, if I take him back to the English program, he's already behind because he hasn't been learning the English. And if I keep him in Spanish and there's 30 in the class, that also makes me nervous. So I come to you with solutions instead of a problem. One, as Liz said, the easiest solution, combine the 2 schools and have 2 classes for the 1st grade. The next solution is maybe something a little bit different, but to look at the allotted students that are currently enrolled in kindergarten at Rayview and Sandy Ridge. Not all of the students that are in these programs are in our cluster. They're outside of the Union County. So for instance, we have one girl that didn't get into Antioch. So the mom called the school to see, because if the schools combined, if they could get over. And they said, no, we're at the head count. We're at 24. She will not be able to come to our program. But we at Rayview are supposed to take Sandy Ridge's children to be at 30, but they couldn't take one additional child over there, which I'm a mom of 3. My oldest is in middle school. When you can have bus transportation to a school if you have additional siblings in 2 different schools is a huge benefit. So my only ask is, one, to just consider splitting, having the 2 teachers, having the resources that we need to continue the program to thrive. We have the room and the space to welcome the Sandy Ridge children, but to have the extra teacher support would be our number 1 ask. If that is not a viable option, the second solution would be to look at all of the kids that are within the Rayview and Sandy Ridge programs. If they're not in the Marvin Ridge cluster, could they be allotted to go to a school? Maybe 1 or 2 of the students go into Weddington, because we have one child that even though their elementary school's Rayview, their middle school will be Weddington. So if they took one student there, if one school took, I know someone's in Poplin and someone, so if you could consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, I need a motion to approve the April 11 minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. 8-0. Next up is approval of the consent agenda and addendum.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next up. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Board, and good evening, UCPS. It is hard to believe that we have only 22 more days of school. I want to encourage all of our students, teachers, families, parents, administrators to keep pushing. We want to finish the school year strong, almost to the finish line, but we have had a great year so far and just a few more days to go. It is also hard to believe that we have our first high school graduation kicking off tomorrow at Union County Early College. There are 75 graduates, and 66 of those graduates will earn their associate's degree. I want to say congratulations. Absolutely. Congratulations to our UCEC graduates and their families. I also want to give a huge shout out to the 2024 Wayfind graduates. We celebrated them at a luncheon a few weeks ago, but I'm super proud of these students. Just as a reminder, these are students that in their first year of this program was the year that was 2021, the year that we were trying to emerge out of the pandemic. And despite that challenging time, this class is graduating with an overall GPA of 3.8. All 18 students have committed to a full-time, full free ride at Wingate University. And the value of their scholarships is about $3 million over the 4-year period. So big thank you to our wonderful partners at Wingate. It's also that time of year when we name our of the year honorees at our U Awards. This week, we're celebrating our teachers and staff. On Thursday, we will hold our annual U Award celebration. And during that event, we will name our beginning teacher of the year, assistant principal of the year, and our principal of the year. Best of luck to all of our finalists. May 6th through 12th is also National Nurses Week, and this includes school nurses. We will name the 2024 UCPS Nurse of the Year at a special celebration tomorrow. I want to say a big thank you to all of our nurses, and please know how important you are to our school system and our families, and how much we appreciate you. So, board members, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, next up is the 2024-25 UCPS budget proposal. Ms. McLam. Oh, there you are. I'm looking over there.
Good evening. I have had a couple of questions about a few items that I have outlined for you tonight, just as for discussion. There were some additional operational needs that were addressed in our budget at the presentation on the last at the last meeting on slide 12. Slide 12 had several of the ESSER sustainability items, as well as some other additional needs that the district and the superintendent had identified. One of those items was additional supports for exceptional children and ELL supports. That was a $1.5 million need that we identified. One of the other things that we've talked a lot about is tutoring. So based on, I think, your desires as a board, I have pulled that as well at a $1.5 million line item for an additional ask. And then the athletic items that were also listed related to some of the expansions of our middle school athletic program. In total, I've pulled together another $3.157,500 in additional ask. That will put the budget request, if you all approve, at an additional $3,252,000 $252,375 as a total ask to the county for additional funds. So if you all have any questions about any of these items or want to any more detail, just let me know.
I'd just like to expound on some of these items and then add my own 2 cents highlights of the budget. We talk about English language learner support. You may not be aware, but of UCPS students, we have 64 languages, primary languages of our students, 4,145 students. That's 10% of our population. I didn't realize these numbers, but we have 352 Russian speaking students, 108 Ukrainian, and it goes from there, Portuguese, Chinese, Hindu, all across the board, as well as Spanish speaking primarily. So I've witnessed firsthand in one of our elementary schools, a parent walks in that does not speak English, child does not speak English. They attempt to use a little translator device, but the student shows up with paperwork, which was in Russian. We don't know if it's an IEP, a 504, or what. So as in our country, we basically have an influx of, shall we say, people that are not primarily English speaking. This continues to be a challenge for UCPS, and we take all comers. So we have to try and educate these children and help them assimilate into society. And part of this 1.5 million addresses those English language learners. The 1.5 million for the tutoring program, we have, to our staff, Dr. Houlihan's credit, developed a very successful, provenly successful tutoring program, which unfortunately at this time have not been able to obtain state or extra local funding. So we're trying to keep the program alive at whatever level we can. If you think about it, students are struggling, need a little help. They get the opportunity to get pulled out, meet at lunch. And we have qualified people from the community that are offering 3 or 4 students to 1. And it has been, as I said, proven effective. And I think it's kind of common sense, but we're going to keep it alive, do the best we can. Also, we may not know this, but a lot of our coaching staffs have CDLs, and they get the opportunity to, I learned a new word, it's called voluntold, to transport students to athletic events and what have you. And we are providing some funding so that they get compensated fairly for this. So I would like to, I will at the end offer a motion that these items be accepted in our budget. But before I do that motion, I'd just like to give my personal take on the highlights of this next year's budget. Extensive meetings with the county, which I want to commend county staff, our staff, Dr. Houlihan, and several of the board members and county commission members that have had very productive meetings. In my 10 years serving on this board, I would have to say our relations with the county commissioner in our budget negotiations have surpassed any previous budgets. And of course, it's not perfect, but their cooperation and their earnestness in working with us within the parameters of what their board gives them has been exceptional this year. When at the beginning, the county staff will forecast what the current tax rate that's allotted to public education will generate and the increase. Now, if you look at it, that's a $4.6 million increase. Great. That means we have $4.6 million over last year, right? But the only problem with that is our costs go up too. cost of mandatory expenses, like funding to charter schools. All the funding for charter schools, students that attend charter schools, flows through UCPS. Ms. McLamb's staff is responsible for all the accounting work, paperwork, distribution of funds with no reimbursement to all the charter schools. And this year, correct me if I'm wrong, that total with the additional million we're looking at will reach 14 million. So that's 14 million that comes right off the top and goes to the charter schools. Okay. In the increases in ongoing expenses we have, right at 4.5 million. So there goes that $4.6 million increase. And those are payments to charter schools, like I mentioned, and the local employees that are not funded by the state, but we have a need in order to operate the school system. When the state provides an increase and there are an increase in costs of benefits, we have to match that with local dollars. You also have things like utility increases and insurance, property and casualty insurance increases. So when you look at that 4.6 million, we basically have about 100 grand left over from that increase. Now this year, I'm very proud to say that we will be offering our licensed staff an increase in supplement of $1,150 a year. I wish it could be more. I will continue years in my new job in pursuing more, but I am glad we were able to do something. And in order to do that, staff has made some very difficult decisions, and I want to thank our staff, our superintendent, for digging deep. And we are looking at $4.4 million of redirects of open positions and readjustments, unprecedented in my 10 years on the board. We are also increasing our principal and assistant principal supplements. We also, in some of our capital funding is broken down, transportation, actual work on the buildings, and other capital improvements. Just two that, I'm not going to go down the whole list of all our capital, but we are installing all new radios in our buses, which is important for clear communication with bus drivers, as you can imagine. We're also installing a new state-of-the-art phone system so that our staff, teachers can communicate with parents, be notified of emergencies, what have you, bringing that up into the 21st century. I am very proud of the budget that this board and staff has put together. I have every hope that the county will agree, and we'll find out in the coming months how successful we are. But I, again, appreciate everyone's hard work. And if anyone else has any questions or wants to chime in, then I'll be glad to offer a motion to accept our 2024-25 fiscal year budget with the additions that we've outlined.
Need a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Lamb. Okay, so that's 8-0. Next up is contract extension.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to offer a motion to extend the contracts of our superintendent and the members of the cabinet that report directly to him for 2 additional years, causing the contracts to expire June 30th of 2028.
Did I hear a second? Second? Oh, you did. I'm sorry. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. 8-0. Yes.
Well deserved, I might add. Thank you. Thank you all the staff and our superintendent.
Yes, good evening, members of the board. Today before you, you have 5 policies for review and 1 administrative guideline. I can try and answer any questions if anyone has any.
I have one question.
Yep.
On the policy about the extracurricular activities and interscholastic athletics. Who dictates what the attendance requirement is for athletics? Now,
The State Board of Education.
State Board of Education now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Previously,
that's,
that was,
it was, initially it was the High School Athletic Association. They took that requirement out. The board at that time felt it was important to keep that attendance requirement in. And then now the State Board of Education is requiring it. So we thought it was important to make sure that families and athletes knew this wasn't something that the district was necessarily imposing.
Yeah.
It was a state requirement.
all right, perfect.
Thank you.
Is board comments? And I have one. Thank you. A shout out to the BOCC for our bond. We got it last night and it's going to go to the voters. Yes. So East Union will get done and we are get money for the design for our new Parkwood High School. Very exciting. Yes. Yay. Woo. So thank you. Yes. Okay. Any other comments?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
First of all, good evening to everybody. When I was listening to Mr. Side share about the challenges that we have when it comes to funding and the amount of money that goes to charter schools and what have you, it really it's a form of discouragement because public school is a wonderful atmosphere for young people. And it creates so many opportunities. And sometimes people think that the grass is green on the other side, and sometimes it may be for certain individuals. But when we look at what we need, and I'm hoping that everyone who's listening understands the importance of tutors and supporting our special needs programs and things of that nature, this is an opportunity for us to really help to develop and shape our young people. Their minds are so full of opportunity, and it takes great teachers and great support staff to help to make sure that they can become the best that they can be. So if anyone is listening out there, I would love to hear from parents in the community who have transitioned their children from public school to charter school and private school. And I would love to know what your reasons are for doing that, because I think it's important that we hear the reasons. So possibly what we can do is bring it back in conversation and try to eliminate that, because that money that's leaving public school, we can be using it for a whole lot of other things. And so, again, I just encourage everyone who's out there listening. Our board, we have been talking and advocating, and I am a product of public school, and I support it 100%, and along with my colleagues as well. And so I would love to hear from individuals just to kind of share your concerns or your issues on why you transition, why you're even considering transitioning your children from public school, so that hopefully we can have some continue to have some productive conversations to keep your children in public school where they belong. So congratulations to all of our seniors who will be graduating this year. I'm excited for them. We give kudos to all of our teachers who are working hard to make sure that these young people do well on the EOGs and they graduate. And to our parents as well, because you all are doing a great job as well. So continue to do the good work, and I'm with you 100%.
Thank you. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, so thank you to all our teachers and our staff. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm afraid this is not on a lighter note, but I'm sure you all are aware of the tragic events of April 29th, when 4 of our brave law enforcement officials were senselessly gunned down in Charlotte. This hits especially close to home, as one of the law enforcement officials, Mr. Sam Peloche, who was an officer with the North Carolina Department of Corrections, was killed. And his family is part of the UCPS family. He has his youngest son is actually will be graduating from UCPS this year. I would ask everyone to keep the family in their thoughts and prayers as the service for Officer Peloche will be held this Monday. And actually his interment will be just within sight of the building in the cemetery across the road. And it's a terribly senseless tragedy. Personally, I have family members that are retired from law enforcement, and I am very sorry, and we'll keep all the families in our thoughts and prayers as they try and put their life back together after this senseless tragedy. Thank you.
Any other comments? No? Next is announcements for board members. Policy Committee on May 21, 8 o'clock in the morning, and Zoom.
Facilities is May 22nd at 9 a.m. Curriculum follows right after at 10 a.m., both via Zoom.
There's no split committee meeting this month.
Anything else? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.